Hello and welcome back to Eddie's Beach Shack. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a very brief introduction to Islamic finance. Now, Islamic finance has got some very important, very detailed key principles, and you need to make sure you're comfortable with these before you start getting involved in anything to do with Islamic finance. First and foremost, the fact that you had wealth in the previous year does not automatically mean that you will create a greater amount of wealth at some time in the future. You have to actually do something with that wealth. The thing that you have to do with that wealth is you have to invest it, and you have to invest it into some sort of legitimate trade or some sort of asset-based investment. These types of investments that you make have got to make not just a return to you as some sort of profit, but the investments have got to have a social and ethical benefit to the wider community. I think this is wonderful, because what this basically means is I'm not just trying to turn a quick buck, I'm trying to help people in the greater community as well. Another key principle is risks should be shared. And if you have a situation whereby you're simply speculating on something, well, that's actually a harmful activity. So any type of speculation is not allowable. It's automatically void under Sharia law. Also, any other type of harmful activities should be ignored as well. And what we now need to do is we need to have an understanding of what these different types of harmful activities potentially are. And these types of harmful activities will include areas such as anything which is potentially going to damage individuals. So the type of thing that we have to avoid will be anything to do with alcohol, gambling, anything to do with drugs, certain foodstuffs, anything which is pornographic. All of these different types of activities are seen as being damaging to individuals, and as such, you should not engage in them. Again, all of the investments that you're expected to make must have a greater, wider community benefit. I love this idea. Another key aspect of Islamic finance is riba. Riba is interest, and interest is quite specifically prohibited. The idea that you've got an amount of money at the beginning of the year, which will now automatically generate some sort of return, such as bank interest, no, we don't like that. If you want to increase the amount of your wealth, you have to invest it into a legitimate investment, which is going to generate profits, or some sort of asset-based investment, which will then have general community benefits. And that's what we're looking for. We want to make sure that only legitimate investments, which have got good wider community benefits and ethical considerations included, will now be allowed to generate any types of benefits. Now, to give you an idea of some of the different types of Islamic financing structures we can use, we've got what's known as a mudaraba. A mudaraba is effectively just a trade credit agreement. And instead of me buying something from the person who's selling it, what we do is we actually have a bank acting as an intermediary. That bank buys the asset on our behalf and then sells it to us. When the bank sells it to us, they add an extra profit element onto it, because that is now seen as an extra good investment. It's an asset-based investment, and it will be generating a profit for the bank. That now means that I can effectively get access to this asset and pay the bank over a period of time without the bank charging me any interest, because the bank has already taken its turn, it's already taken its profit. The next type of investment that we have, or the next type of vehicle we have, is an ihara. And the ihara is effectively a lease finance. And again, we have some sort of financial intermediary put in between us and the lessor of the asset. So we're the lessee, and we have a bank put in between. The bank buys the asset on our behalf and then rents it to us, to our business, which means that the lessor gets their money immediately, and the lessee, which is me, I get to pay it over a period of time. Wonderful. I still get access to the assets. It's still ethically safe as an investment. It's still generating benefits to the wider community. Everybody gets happy here. Wonderful idea. The next one we have is a sukuk. A sukuk is an Islamic bond, but don't think about this as a debt instrument. This is not any type of fixed debenture type thing. A sukuk is very specifically, you lend money to a business which is going to then perform some sort of activities and generate a profit. You keep a proprietary interest in the assets that are purchased with your funds. So you give some money to the business then uses that money to buy a specific asset. You have an ownership interest within those assets, and that ownership interest will now generate a return, and it's that type of return where we generate our profit. Again, wonderful idea. It means if something goes horribly wrong, I actually own that asset. So me as a lender of funds, effectively here, I'm protected even more so than with some sort of fixed debenture. Then we have a mudaraba. A mudaraba is where we have equity finance coming in from a sleeping partner. This is effectively one person provides capital, another person provides expertise. One of the key issues that we have with these types of Islamic finance vehicles is risk must be shared. However, this is one of the exceptions. And what happens here is you have a situation whereby the person putting the money in, they will accept the majority of the risk of any types of loss. So the person putting the money in now accepts the potential risk of loss. The person running this business will provide the expertise and their time. They will potentially have a zero return if everything goes horribly wrong. Then we also have a musharaka coming towards the end now, guys. And this musharaka is a joint venture where both parties contribute capital and expertise. You should see a musharaka as a bog standard partnership arrangement where both parties get involved in the business and both parties put some money in and both parties will run the business. Now, that's a very, very brief introduction to Islamic finance. It's a very, very detailed area. You know what, guys? It is a very, very interesting area. And if you do get the opportunity to work with it, I would strongly suggest that you do so. Thank you very much for your time and attention there, boys and girls. And I'll see you all soon on Eddie's next Beach Shack. Take care and bye.